Thank you for having me. This is our birthplace as well. ACI was born in Geneva in 1991, so this is a good homecoming. Let me get my slides up. So as Alexandra mentioned, and as Jeff mentioned, we're up against a lot of challenges and under a lot of pressure to accommodate future growth while being safe, secure, and sustainable, both environmentally and economically, and while delivering a satisfying customer experience. The onus is on us to enhance our collaboration and to overcome these challenges. We can't do all of that by doing what we are doing now. So let me give you some of the airport perspective, beginning with our forecasts. Like others, ACI forecasts continued high growth in global passenger traffic driven by rising incomes in emerging markets with large populations and large land masses or numerous islands. And this will help propel global traffic to new heights in the coming decades as new aviation hubs begin to overtake the more mature markets of Western Europe and North America. Like Alexandra, ACI forecasts that airports located in emerging and developing economies will have half the passenger traffic by 2022 and will surpass by half the current developed economies by 2040, and that global passenger traffic demand will double by 2034 based on a projected growth rate of 4.3% a year. Now, as we navigate through geopolitical tensions and uncertainty in global trade, which may disrupt in the short term, the core issue for our industry remains how do we respond to this underlying demand at a local, national, and international level as infrastructure limits pose challenges in accommodating tomorrow's, and in many cases, today's travelers. So what ACI and airports, in collaboration with aviation stakeholders, have been doing to ensure that the global aviation system can meet future demand and maintain public confidence that aviation is safe, secure, and environmentally responsible. Now, you may have heard of the new era for airport slot allocation, working together with IATA and the Worldwide Airport Coordinators Group. We are progressing a paradigm shift in the determination of slot allocation policies at the global level. We're now including airport operators as equal partners with airlines in slot allocation governance and put the interest of the traveling public at the center of the ecosystem. The new industry-wide governance also provides equal engagement of slot coordinators in an independent, non-discriminatory, and transparent system. You may also have heard of the new aerodrome standards, which came into effect last November, and these will provide for a safe reduction in minimum airfield dimensions, meaning that limited space at airports can be used more efficiently. We've been working along with ICAO to help airports with the implementation of the global reporting format that provides better understanding for pilots of runway friction, and which will become applicable in November 2020. The effective transmission of data associated with the global reporting format is key, and air traffic controllers will play an important role in conveying runway condition reports and transmitting pilot reports. Indeed, sharing data is crucial to improving efficiency and the passenger experience. We'll reduce delays and increase resilience in the wake of disruption. In this regard, I highlight airport collaborative decision-making, a process in which all airport role players share information so that each organization has a more complete operational picture, enabling the effective and timely resolution of issues. ACDM has the potential to improve flow control and optimize the capacity of runways, terminals, gates, and airspace so that aviation can continue playing a major role in driving sustainable economic and social development. I note that ACDM is fully implemented in 28 European airports. Did I already have that slide? So we move to the recently released EU study, which advocates for a centralized approach as the enabler for delivering efficiencies based on new roles and responsibilities for the network manager. Europe's airports do not object to such an approach. However, ACI notes that the report mainly focuses on en route capacity, does not follow a total aviation system approach. For the proposed new centralized approach to succeed, Europe's airports consider that a new MO based on increased cooperation between air navigation service providers, airlines, airports, and the network manager, as well as changes in operational culture, is essential. This will require a reconsideration of the governance and management of the network manager to ensure an effective and meaningful industry involvement in its new roles and responsibilities. From a passenger experience perspective, trade-offs might be needed to protect local airport capacity. Europe's airports support the recommendation for tower services to be based on contractual relationships as a key enabler for airport and ATM integration. This is, however, dependent on ANSP's acceptance and regulators providing the right framework. We look forward to continued engagement with the European Commission and EU member states and to become fully involved in the follow-up of the report. Now, to capitalize on the potential brought by data, a common vocabulary is needed. The Airport Community Recommended Information Services Framework, known as ACRIS, was developed by ACI to provide a data exchange structure in the aviation community. ACRIS provides an environment where airports can share data with their partners in a standardized and seamless manner. ACI is also working closely with IATA to ensure airline and airport data standards are harmonized. This work is expected to continue and evolve as data comes to the forefront of digital transformation. This environment will lay the groundwork to support digital transformation. It's becoming a core capability and a necessity to meet the capacity demands of the future. The ACI IATA Next Vision, or New Experience Travel Technology, looks at the transformation of the ground journey for all the elements that currently move through the airport: the passenger, baggage, cargo, and the aircraft. It considers how advanced processing technologies such as tracking and identification, robotics, and automation can improve safety, security, and the customer experience. Technology trends as key enablers for this transformation of the entire journey include better use of data and communication, predictive modeling and artificial intelligence to permit faster real-time decisions, the advancement of automation, autonomous vehicles, and robotics, and off-airport processes via the use of digital identity. We see innovation and technology as a driving force for change, as seen with the introduction of competition for tower services made available by technological revolutions that have reduced the need for large-scale, ground-based infrastructure and expensive equipment. The COMPARE project, a study which has looked into competition for air traffic management in Europe, has suggested that introducing some form of competitive elements would increase ANSP's efficiency, lower charges, and promote earlier implementation of technology. Ultimately, there will only be as much usable capacity in the sky as there is on the ground, and vice versa. The capacity made available by airport operators for the takeoff and landing of aircraft, aircraft handling and passenger processing, and that made available by ANSPs is unfortunately quite often uncorrelated. We see a need for much closer dialogue between airport operators and their ANSP. Airports are spending billions per year on infrastructure and system developments, and these increases need to be matched by terminal airspace and network performance upgrades. Otherwise, unnecessary delays are the result. They also need to be matched with environmental sustainability. We in aviation can be proud of our record and our ambition in environmental responsibility, including our commitment to reducing our carbon footprint. For airports that must make huge investments in infrastructure that has to be fit for purpose for many years, sustainability is in our DNA. ACI is taking a leadership role through the Airport Carbon Accreditation Program, which boasts 266 accredited airports worldwide that are managing their carbon emissions and working towards becoming carbon neutral. Indeed, 49 are already carbon neutral through the reduction of their own emissions and filling the gap by the purchase of high-quality carbon offsets. ACI continues to develop and improve tools to help our members reduce their carbon footprint. Now, given the recent Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change's call for urgent and drastic measures to limit global warming, and the European Commission's strategic vision towards a carbon-neutral economy for Europe, finally delivering the single European sky must become a key priority for EU member states. For this, we need greater ATM efficiency. Last year, ATM inefficiencies led to an additional 5.2% of CO2 emitted by aircraft in Europe. Working together, aviation can be more a part of the solution than part of the problem. Now, climate change affects the whole world and is a problem for everyone. But frankly, at airport level, aircraft noise is often the biggest obstacle to obtaining our license to grow to accommodate demand. As we prepare to facilitate air traffic growth, reducing the nuisance of aircraft noise should remain a key priority for all aviation stakeholders. In 2015, ACI and CANSO published Managing the Impacts of Aviation Noise, which examines the challenge of aviation noise and describes methods that airport operators and ANSPs can use to manage and reduce its impact. However, new challenges are arising. In recent years, progress on aircraft noise at the source has been offset by increases in traffic and the introduction of more and larger aircraft. It has also become more difficult to identify new ways of improving the noise performance of aircraft and engines, and therefore aircraft noise technology advancements have slowed down. The result has been increases in cumulative noise levels at some airports. Now, acoustic factors are only responsible for some 30% of noise-related community annoyance. So we need more and better research to understand the remaining 70% of factors so we can plan our policies and actions accordingly. In addition, the implementation of performance-based navigation, PBN, has brought an additional layer of complexity to aircraft noise management. PBN offers benefits including fuel efficiency, capacity, flexibility in routing, safety, predictability, as well as a possibility for noise improvement. But it also presents challenges, since while it can reduce the number of people affected by noise, the concentration of noise over a smaller area can increase the intensity and may have an impact on the negative perception of aviation. This means that aviation stakeholders need to work in cooperation with communities from the very early stages to efficiently implement PBN. We can even use PBN as part of the solution to relieve concentrations by defining appropriate respite areas and times in accordance with communities' feedback. It is undeniable we need to move forward with necessary airspace modernization, but this requires that airports and ANSPs work even closely. On this note, I'm pleased to report that we have a new joint ACI CANSO publication coming up on PBN implementation and noise management that will help guide our members. Another challenge is the reintroduction of supersonic aircraft. The industry as a whole has to consider the overall effect on the noise and emissions footprint. ACI supports the development of new technology, but the noise and emission standards for supersonics must be stringent enough that they do not compromise the work we have been doing for decades. Properly assessing the noise impact of supersonics on communities and their emissions footprint will be important to support states in defining their policies to address the impact on the public of supersonics and facilitate their decision regarding standards and recommended practices. And everything we do can be undone if we don't get sensible land use planning. Annoyed airport neighbors put pressure on local decision makers to restrict airports, and those same decision makers are under pressure to approve incompatible land uses for social and economic purposes. Airport operators need the cooperation and engagement of aircraft operators and air traffic managers to listen to and communicate with airport neighbors and these decision makers. Don't leave us alone. Now, I covered a lot, so let me circle back to my opening statement. We can't keep doing things the way we have if we are to accommodate the level of demand we're expecting. So our priorities: reliable and effective transmission of data across all airport role players, a total aviation system approach to the proposed new centralized network approach, to collaborate in the areas of facilitation and innovation, to be bold in our approach to climate change, and to collaborate to minimize aviation's adverse impact on airport neighbors and to minimize the impact of local decisions on aviation operations. I'd like to reiterate ACI and airports' commitment to working with CANSO and IATA and all industry stakeholders, and I look forward to our panel discussion. Thank you.